Mind Obscura family, I hope you're doing well. Today's topic might feel a bit uncomfortable, but it's one of those truths every man needs to hear at least once. And if you're new here, welcome. Feel free to subscribe if you find value in this. It truly supports the channel. Now let's get into something that could genuinely change the way you see relationships. There's a moment in every man's life where he sits back and quietly asks himself, why does this keep happening to me? Why do you keep ending up with partners who cheat on you, disrespect you, drain you, or use you? Why does it feel like you always care more, give more, and ultimately lose more? And here is the hard truth that many men avoid. The problem, ISN, all women. The problem is the patterns you allow, the signals you ignore, and the boundaries you never learned how to set. So today, we're going to unpack why manipulation becomes a cycle, how certain women can spot weakness instantly, and most importantly, how you can break out of this pattern by strengthening who you are. A lot of men think they're just unlucky in love, but when the same kind of woman shows up in your life again and again, that's not luck. That's a reflection of something deeper. When a man experiences disrespect or betrayal repeatedly, it's rarely random. It usually points toward old emotional wounds, shaky self-worth, and blurred lines between what you'll allow and what you won't. This isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to make you aware of what's been happening silently in the background. Many men say things like, she lied to me, or she played me, but the truth is, most women show you who they are very early in the relationship through their behavior, not their words. You just weren't trained to see it. And when you finally did see it, you cared too much to walk away. And that's the real trap. Let's talk about that myth. She lied to me. Because if you look back honestly, most of these women didn't hide who they were. Sometimes it's in the way she talks about her exes, painting every single man as toxic while never taking ownership for her part. Sometimes it's in how she treats people she doesn't benefit from, like a waiter or a retail worker. Sometimes it's in the constant inconsistency, the chaos, or the emotional swings that show up early on. These things are not normal. They are not small. They are glimpses of her character and her patterns. But if you're lonely or mesmerized by her beauty, or simply afraid of losing her, you end up telling yourself it's not a big deal. And ignoring that early truth is one of the main reasons men get manipulated. Now let's get into something a lot of men never hear. Unhealthy women choose men who allow their behavior. A woman with strong red flags will very rarely choose a man with firm boundaries and high standards. Why? Because he won't tolerate her behavior. Instead, she'd choose someone who places her on a pedestal, someone who is afraid to lose her, someone who seeks her validation rather than earning her respect. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. One of the biggest signs of a man with low self-esteem is how he reacts to a woman's beauty. When she notices you're completely blown away by her looks, she learns something instantly. He's not used to having choices. I will always be his best option. This is when she begins testing you. It's not always on purpose. Sometimes it's subconscious. But when she sees that all she needs to control you is her appearance, everything changes. The respect slowly fades. The boundaries slowly break. And the power shifts entirely toward her. But the opposite is also true. When a woman realizes her looks alone won't keep you, she has to step up. She has to bring more to the table than just her appearance. She respects you more. She invests more because she knows that with you, beauty is not enough. This brings us to a crucial part of the conversation: low self-esteem and missing boundaries. You can usually tell you're struggling with self-worth when her looks override your logic. If her beauty is enough to make you ignore blatant disrespect, that's the beginning of the end. That's the entry point for manipulation. Then comes the fear of setting boundaries. You feel the disrespect, but you say nothing. You avoid every conflict. You choose temporary peace over long-term dignity. And in relationships, that always backfires. Because when a man chooses peace at the cost of his self-respect, he eventually loses both. Another dangerous behavior is rewarding disrespect. She cheats and you chase her. She disrespects you and you find a way to apologize. She pulls away and you shower her with more attention and gifts. This teaches her something destructive. I can be at my absolute worst, and he will still give me his best. Once that dynamic forms, the relationship is already over. It's just a matter of time. But where does all this come from? Why do some men tolerate what others would never even consider? This often goes back to childhood. Many men who struggle in relationships grew up with inconsistent love, especially from a mother or a primary caregiver. Maybe affection was something you had to earn. Maybe your feelings were ignored or dismissed. Maybe you learned to just be quiet to avoid trouble. So now, as an adult, you confuse chasing love with receiving love. You think trying harder is the answer. You believe giving more will eventually fix the problem. But really, you're just repeating the same emotional pattern you learned as a child. Now, let's shift toward breaking that cycle, because awareness is just the first step. The real change comes from action. The first step, stop ignoring red flags. Seriously, sit down and write what you truly expect from a partner. Not just looks, but character, values, and how she treats you and others. Pay attention to her actions, not her words. The second step, communicate calmly. When something feels off, you have to speak up without anger or accusation. Use I statements. For example, I feel disrespected when ... double quote instead of you always do this ... double quotes the third step. Stop repeating yourself. This one is huge. Unless huge. If she crosses the same boundary again after you've calmly discussed it, don't argue about it again. Don't explain it a third time. Withdraw. Respect always requires consequences. Your absence can be a more powerful teacher than your words. The fourth step, stop rewarding disrespect. Never give more energy, time, or affection to someone who is actively giving you less. Match her energy. If she pulls away, you pull away. Let her see what life is like without your effort. And the fifth and most important step, build your self-esteem from the inside out. Take care of your health, your finances, your purpose, your social life. The stronger you become as an individual, the less you will tolerate what harms you. A man who is happy and fulfilled on his own doesn't need validation from a woman who doesn't respect him. This video isn't about hating women. It's about protecting yourself. It's about choosing respect over fear. It's about learning that real, healthy love doesn't require begging, chasing, or proving your worth. You can't control how someone behaves, but you can always control what you accept. As you raise your standards for yourself, your life will rise with them. If this message hit home for you today, let me know in the comments. And if you want more grounded, honest conversations just like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You deserve respect, but it has to start with you giving it to yourself. Thanks for watching.